Good morning, everyone. It's time to do another Trance Speak session. And today we actually have some questions. It's signature B. Turner. She would like to know, she would like to have more insights on the Ark of the Covenant, and also Moses' burning bush, and how we as humanity are progressing and need to progress. So that's what we are bringing into this Trance Speak today. And for those of you who are new to this channel today, you should know that you can always reach out and you can say what's on your mind. And if you have any suggestions of subject matters or questions about subject matters or anything that is for all people, so to say, it's just to reach out. And if you have personal questions and personal issues and guidance for in your life and so on, then you can reach out for a private sitting with me. So my communicators are happy to do that. And today I'm gonna quicken myself up a little bit and see if I can get as quick as possible into the deeper states of trance. So yeah, exciting. I love doing this. It's exciting every time. It's different from time to time. It's never the same. So every time I do Trance Speak, it's a new adventure for me, really. So it's a beautiful thing to be doing. So enough. Let me have a sip of coffee before I go into trance. Yeah, I'm off and have a wonderful time. You can either fast forward until they start to speak, or you can just follow me in a meditation, or you can just watch me go into trance. Some of you may think that is interesting, so I'm off. So we are coming today in the power of the spoken word, and we would like to share with you all that old story of the tablets that came from the universe, what you call God, and was left on the planet Earth with the keepers of Moses and his brother. They were both part of that story, and they were the guardians of those tablets. At that time, mankind was not as evolved as mankind is today, and people needed something to believe in, something to hold on to, and something to follow in order to grow and expand and develop their own mind and heart and longing. So in the desert, the longing became basically food and water. And among the people, there were many crimes, many difficulties that was going on. And that was because of the not so evolved human being. The humans were really reacting upon the physical body and the physical need, and some were more evolved than others, but there was some kind of guidelines that was needed, and some people to lead the others were very important to find those people. Moses was one of those who were incarnated in order to spread that light and that consciousness on the earth. Moses was one of those childs that was born into difficulties, and he was raised within better circumstances than many others, and he finds his mission, and he decides to follow his heart and his mission. So Moses was one of those guiding lights, and he was a master of the physical, and he manifested those tablets on the mountain, as you have read about that, and those tablets came to him as an answer for his he's willing to find a solution on the difficulties and the problems that the group were having. So as an answer to his plea for help and guidance, those were manifested. Those were simple guidelines to follow. And the miracles had to happen in order to make the people around him believe in what he said, and in order for them to follow someone who's strong. And Moses was one of those. He came from the higher intelligence of the universe, and he came down to bring this spark of energy into the world in order to stimulate people's own inner growth and to be that leader and that guide that he became. And Moses was a man, of course. It came to be understood that these tablets were important, and so they are building the Ark of the Covenants in order to carry that with them through the desert as they were walking. And they made promises to God and to Moses and his brother Aaron to follow those rules that was going to be among the people that was walking through the desert, in order for them to keep not being hostile against each other, and to stay true to their family and to their wives. And it was simple rules for them to live and follow. So the importance of those tablets became very high. And as they saw Moses' miracles and wonders, they obeyed and followed him, and they were following those rules very much out of fear of what could happen if they were not following. They were, remember, not as evolved, and their intellect and their brain were not that evolved, so they could not really understand the length of bad behavior and its consequences. They just knew that it was best for them to follow because they were afraid of those leaders, what would happen if they were not following. And also the wonders and miracles that was shown and provided during their walking time was also making them believe in the words of the tablets and the importance of following that. So the ark was built to hold that very valuable rules for the people and to carry that with them. Remember, they were very heavy and they were made out of stone. So they needed something to carry them in. So they created that ark. And the story that the ark was built in a certain way and made out of gold, and that may be a little bit added on to the story in order to present how valuable the ark was. The writer, the author of the text in the book of the Bible, added on a little bit more in order to make it more valuable. So that became the first rules among people on the earth, really, to follow. There had not been any rules or any guidelines for mankind to live and follow before that. So that was the first. It was just the kings and the people who were working for the king, who was just following the orders of many times a king that was not that mentally healthy and well. So the world as it was expressed in that area of the earth was not as peaceful at the time. So the rules that came with the people who walked through the desert, those rules became those words of guidance and guidelines to pay attention and to follow. And people learned those words and those guides, and they were starting to understand more and more of the importance of that. Moses was a person as anyone else, except from the fact that his soul was more evolved than many of those souls that he was leading. And Moses had the personal traits as all humans does, and he had his doubts and difficulties. One difficulty that he was holding was the speaking, and he was turning inside instead of speaking out loud, and he had his communication with inside, with his guides and with God. So his brother assisted him, and Moses had his doubts in what was going to happen and how he didn't know really. He just knew that he needed to bring the people further on. And all that doubts that he had made that he had to stop his living in beforehand. And he was done with his mission. And he followed his mission all the way, and people had to follow a new leader after Moses was gone. And so they did, and they walked across the river. And yeah, but they had evolved and grown as humans during that time in the desert, and they were on a other platform, so to say, as humans, as they was entering into that promised land that they believed it was. And those tablets and the Ark of Covenants has been hidden energetically for many, 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 many years, long time. And it is to be found within the temple of Solomon and the temple of Solomon's energy. The temple, you can say underground, really, and that's energetically, it's the temple is still existing energetically, and that's where they are to be found today. And there are few humans who has the knowledge and the energy to rise to that consciousness, that level of consciousness within, so they can visit that temple of Solomon. And yeah, and that's where they are going to stay as well. There has been a lot lately going on in that energetic temple, but the tablets and the ark still going to be there energetically. Of course, those rules, they became something that was going from mouth to mouth, from generation to generation, and was published in the book of the Bible. And they were, of course, as something is moving through generations, from generation and from mouth to mouth, and it changes and it develops into the time it is expressed, really. So the origin is may not be as these 10 lines of rules or guidelines of living. So they have changed over time to be able to fit into our that time, modern time, when they wrote the books in the Bible. And people are progressing and growing, and today you have the capacity to grow mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, to reach those higher minds of consciousness, and to reach that self-mastery that is so many of you are looking for, and that self-mastery that is rising your energy levels and makes you grow spiritually. So once you have reached that self-mastery over the physical and the emotional, mental, you will see that the spiritual body as well will grow. And today you have progressed into being that is so much more evolved than from that time. And you are progressing today faster than ever. So it's just to continue. There is no limit of how far you can grow and expand and grow. And evolve. There is no limit. It's only your mind that limits your progress and growth. And when you open your heart and mind and you are willing to take on what is needed to grow, you will just grow and you will just expand. That was the subject of today's Trance Speak, and we are happy to let you know that we will come back and we will continue to work with the medium, and until we meet again, we send you all our love and all the healing that you are in so much need of today. So we send you our blessings.